Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to the Underhive's Most Wanted, a series dedicated to the analysis of the Dramatis Personae fighter in Games Workshop's Necromunda. We will discuss the character's lore, their rules, and provide other critical information to help you dominate in your next campaign of Necromunda. And on today's episode, we're discussing the Dramatis Personae from the House of Shadows. We're talking none other than the Dramatis Personae of the House Delaque fighters. We're going to be specifically talking about Calthyxis, the Ghost of Hive, Primus, Yageloth, the Master of Whispers, and the Servant of the Silent Ones. And like I said before, we will be talking about the lore of these characters as well as review their rules and give you our overall impression of these fighters and how best to use them in your next campaign of Necromunda. And as always, there will be timestamps in the description box down below so that we can click and navigate to the particular fighter that you are interested in the most. So that being said, let's go and get started by talking about Calthyxis, the Ghost of Hive Primus. Calthyxis, the Ghost of Primus, House Delaque Bounty Hunter. Calthyxis is a myth in Hive Primus, a horror story that no one truly wants to believe. Countless murders and assassinations have been attributed to Calthyxis, especially if they were seemingly impossible to execute. Some even claim Calthyxis was the first of the Faceless, created centuries ago using a cocktail of Escher chems and Delaque dark psychic energy. These same individuals point out kill patterns, grisly calling cards, and eerily similar murder scenes, all as evidence of their theory. House Delaque, to no one's surprise, has never disputed the existence of Calthyxis, nor do they take credit for the kills the assassin supposedly makes in their name. It is difficult to dispute that if Calthyxis does exist, the killer is not doing the work of the House of Shadows, as many of the victims' deaths have allowed the Delaque to advance their own agendas or expand their power. To outsiders, Calthyxis remains a mystery, a useful scapegoat for their own killings, or a way to clan overlords to justify their failures to house masters. The truth, like most things on Necromunda, is both far more terrifying and bizarre than any Underhive drunkard might dream of. Years ago, there was an assassin who was known to the Delaque as Calthyxis, a devoted member of the clan and servant of the Psychoterica. Calthyxis killed for House Delaque and used its tools of murder without doubt or remorse. When the Star Chamber began experimenting with the transformative chems to create the Faceless, Calthyxis was amongst the first to undergo the harrowing procedures. The results made Calthyxis an even more formidable assassin. The ability to alter one's face and stature key to getting to targets once thought impossible. Like all things, even an assassin as talented as Calthyxis met their match and was slain during a mission. The assassin's body was returned to the clan, and it was then a wondrous and terrible discovery was made. Calthyxis' face had been taken on a life of its own. Cutting the face from the body, the Delaque preserved the relic and coated with the genetic memory of Calthyxis, passed from mind to flesh by the Psychoterica. Since that day, many have worn the face of Calthyxis, and all have been exceptional killers. So now that we're going to talk about the lore of Calthyxis, the Ghost of Primus, let's talk about his rules specifically. So let's talk about Calthyxis. He's going to cost you 195 credits if you want to recruit this fighter, and let's talk about his characteristics real quick. So he's got a 6-inch movement, so he's very, very fast, plus 2 weapon skill, plus 3 ballistic skill, so he's really good in both close combat as well as shooting. He's got 3 strength and toughness, which is average, 2 wounds, which is expected for a bounty hunter of this type, as well as plus 2 initiative, which actually makes him quite survivable for acrobatics and agility work. He has 3 attacks base, which is great because when he charges in close combat, he of course can also get additional attack on top of that, and combined with his 2 other weapons, will actually give him 5 attacks in close combat. He does have plus 7 for leadership, which is average, 5 plus for cool, 6 plus for willpower, as well as 7 plus for intelligence. Now, when it comes to his skills, of course, and special rules, we do have Faceless, Infiltrate, as well as Overwatch. Infiltrate's going to be great because this character is supposed to be assassin, so you can deploy anywhere on the battlefield that he needs to go, so that way he can take out your enemies that way, which is going to be really good too. At the same time, he's also got the Overwatch ability, so that way he can interrupt enemy activations with shooting attacks with his auto needler if necessary. And of course, Calthyxis also has the Faceless skill from the obfuscation skills, and basically what that says is from the start of each round until this fighter has activated, enemy fighters must pass a willpower test to target them with a range attack or a blast marker so that it is touching their base. If the check is failed, the enemy fighter may choose another target. So this guy is not only is he able to infiltrate in and also cause problems, he can also interrupt enemy activations and at the same time survive being shot at, which is actually really good for this character. In addition to that, Calthyxis also has some special rules attached to him. He has Ghost Primus special rule, which means that he can only be hired by House Delaque gangs, so you do have to keep that in mind as well, unless of course you make this guy an outcast leader. And he's also got the Face of a Killer special rule, which reads that Calthyxis has centuries of memories and talents to draw upon and can dredge up the right skill for the job when necessary. At the start of the battle, during the choose crew step of the pre-battle sequence, Calthyxis can choose any 2 skills known for the battle. These skills can be chosen from the agility, brawn, combat, cunning, ferocity, shooting, and obfuscation skill sets as well. So this guy could be extremely versatile, and that way he can be kind of customizable to meet whatever objectives that you need to meet to as well. Now let's talk about his weapons real quick. So he's actually packing what's called as an auto needler. It's basically a automatic needle gun. It's got a 6-inch short range, 12-inch long range, +2 accuracy for short range attacks. It has -1 AP as well as 4+ for the ammo roll. It's got rapid fire too, so this thing can pump out 6 shots if necessary. And it's also got the toxin trait, which makes this weapon also extremely deadly as well. And he's also packing a custom melee weapon called the Whisper Blade. It's just a melee weapon with +1 to hit in close combat, so it makes some weapon skill just not roll 1 and you'll hit anything you want to hit against. He's also got 1 AP as well as the melee as well as the toxin trait as well, so that makes it really deadly too. Now he's also a little bit survivable as well with his war gear. He has an armored undersuit as well as a mesh armor, which would give him a 4-up armor save as well. Plus he's got a respirator, which makes him a little bit more survivable in environmental conditions as well as when it comes to various gas and toxin attacks that might be coming his way. Now to be perfectly honest with you guys, Calthyxis is actually an excellent Dramatis Personae to use for a gang. He only costs 195 credits, so he's not that expensive to actually recruit for your gangs, and the things that he can do in terms of choosing 2 additional skills from any one of those skill trees, at the same time having infiltrate Overwatch, at the same time having enemies have to take willpower tests to shoot against him, he'll make an excellent addition to any Delaque gang, especially if you're going after a high value target as well. Agility would make him really quick to go across the battlefield as quickly as possible. You can use Brawn to make him stronger and actually make him more deadly as well. Combat, of course, makes him deadlier in close combat. Cunning can also help him out things like the evades, that way it's harder to shoot against him as well. You got Ferocity, so that way he's got Berserk if he wants to as well. It'll also help out with suffering injuries. Shooting, so that way you can get Fast Shot. Fast Shot for that auto needler would actually be extremely deadly. Be able to fire it twice, so that auto needler, for example, would be extremely deadly. And of course, if you're allowed to mess with your enemies, you can also take the obfuscation skill too, and also manage to take away your enemy's reputation. So for 195 credits, he is an absolute steal. But if you really want to make this guy extremely deadly, I would say use him exactly as an outcast gang leader. He would actually shine in that role as well. Now granted, his leadership test is not all that great, but that 7-up cool, 5-up cool would make him really deadly, especially if you put like Nerves of Steel on him, so that way if he does get hit, he can escape pinning on a 5 cool. He'd also make a decent weird also because he's got that 6+ willpower too. And plus for 195 credits, he's not bad for what we can do, and having the ability to customize what you want to use for this guy for makes him invaluable for any members of your gang. And since this guy is not a Forge World exclusive miniature as well, you could also easily convert your own miniature or use a proxy or a third-party miniature to actually play this character, and you can actually put him in your gang and use him that way as well. So this guy is perfect, and I highly suggest that if you're a Delaque player or if you want to be an outcast leader, take this character. He's really, really deadly. Yageloth, the Master of Whispers, House Delaque Bounty Hunter. All Delaque have heard the call of the Silent Ones echoing up from the depths of Necromunda, but few have ever journeyed to its source to see what is really down there and return. Even within the Star Chamber, there are doubts that such a feat is even possible, though Yageloth's very existence would seem to prove it can be done. A living embodiment of the Psychoterica, Yageloth is a shadow within the Underhive of Hive Primus, arriving suddenly to further the agendas of House Delaque, but vanishing just as swiftly. A true master of whispers, such as the power of the Psychoterica contained within Yageloth, that the agent's half-hearted words can break the minds of those who bear them, and that the truth is but a fluid construct within the Whisperer's hands, shaped as Yageloth sees fit. It is said that by manipulating the essence of the Psychoterica, he can even transcend his corporeal form, literally becoming nothing more than shadows. So that makes it the lore of Yageloth, the Master of Shadows. Let's go ahead and talk about his rules. So first of all, let's talk about Yageloth's rules real quick. It's going to cost you 120 credits, which is an absolute steal for what he can actually do. His characteristics are 5-inch movement, which is, average. 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballista skill, so he's not really got that much great into shooting, but he is pretty good at close combat. He's got 3 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, which is quite average, +4 for initiative, 2 attacks, but when you charge it 4, that gives him 3 attacks in close combat. He's got 7+ for leadership, which is pretty decent, 4+ for cool, which is awesome, 4+ for willpower, which is even better because this guy is a psyker, and 5+ for intelligence, which is great to hack through things like doors and other pieces of equipment. Now, he automatically does come with infiltrate skill, which is great for this guy, so you can deploy him anywhere on the battlefield that you need him to be at, which makes him even deadlier. Now, he does have some special rules attached to him as well. One of them is called Envoy of the Silent Ones, where basically you receive no credit bonuses for captured or identified enemies after the battle, unlike normal bounty hunters, because yes, he is a bounty hunter, but he's not a traditional bounty hunter as well. And unfortunately, he will automatically leave after the battle. He does not join subsequent battles for free, so that is a bit of a handicap cap for Yageloth as well. But at 120 credits though, he is quite affordable, so if you are running into a situation where you might need him, 120 credits is a steal as well. At the same time, he also has the Creature of Shadow special, which means he's immune to attacks without strength. So things like toxin attacks, for example, and poison attacks have nothing against him, so he is perfectly fine there. At the same time, he's also, if suffering a serious injury, he can ignore serious injuries as well. But if he does suffer a serious injury, though, he is removed from the battlefield, so that part is kind of sad. And also, he can return in the phase once he's gone within anywhere within 5 inches of a friendly fighter, at least 1 inch for any enemy as well. So even though he is taken out, he just kind of teleports around to where he needs to go, and so that makes him even deadlier in that case, which makes him super powerful. And probably the best special rule about this character is he's got these weird powers, which basically makes him the Master of Whispers. He knows 5 different psychic ability from any discipline that he chooses as well. So you can really make this guy super flexible. Not only could you use the already psychoteric Whispers ability from House Delaque if you're really into that, or you could use any of the psychic abilities from the Book of the Outcast, which makes this guy extremely deadly. You could do things like make him a hive mind and have him have unbreakable will, so that way he could trigger other psychic abilities with that 4+ willpower. He could also make that 4+ cool travel to his other fellow fighters. You could do things like put biomancy on him and actually make him even deadlier that way, or any number of things that you want to do with this character to make him customizable for your gang. That would be absolutely fantastic as well. Now, aside from that, he's also got some pretty good weapons as well as equipment. He's got what's called the Psychoteric Blade. It's a melee weapon that gives him +1 to hit, so he'll be hitting you at 2+ in close combat. It's got -2 AP, which is great. It's also got the melee trait, parry trait, so that way he can make you ignore being hit. He can make you reroll successful hits against him. He's also got the phase special weapon trait on there as well, so that way he just cuts right through armor. And at the same time, he's also got the toxin trait, so that way he can take out those heavy toughness type fighters with multiple wounds easily with that characteristic, which is really nice as well. Now, for the rest of his war gear, he does have a West Armor, which is a 5-up armor save, which is average, and he's also got a Respirator, which also makes him more survivable against environmental conditions as well as from gas attacks as well. Now, personally, in my opinion, Yageloth is actually worth the 120 credits. Now, granted, he's only a one-time fighter for your gang for the 120 credits cost, but it's not that bad. If you do really well in this particular scenario, you can actually recruit him for the next one if you need him, or you can save that money and use him, especially if you're going against a really critical gang that you're going up against, or something that's really powerful and you need that kind of additional support in your gang. You could definitely do that for 120 credits. But in my opinion, the best way that Yageloth would actually be useful is as an outcast gang leader. At 120 credits, he is an absolute steal for that route, and you could actually have him lead like a little shadowy cult of followers who are driven insane by the eldritch horrors of House Delaque, and he'd actually make an excellent outcast leader because of that. Now, his leadership is not that great at a 7+, but it is average, so it is great, and you can also spend experience points to actually reduce that value if you really need to do that as well. But everything else is really fantastic with the way he's built out, and I think that'd be the great way to do that as well. Now, at the same time, there is an official Forge World miniature for this fighter, so it is a little pricey that way. So if you want to play anything official, you'll need to buy the actual official miniature from Forge World. But if you're a cheapskate like me or a hobby gamer, you can easily just proxy, convert, or 3D print your own version of Yageloth and make him really, really deadly as well. And at the same time, having him being the leader of an outcast game is what he really shine at, and he can cause all kinds of destruction for your enemies. And that is my overall opinion of Yageloth, the Master of Shadows. The Servant of the Silent Ones, House Delaque House Agent. The Servant is a creature built of memory, plasteel, and genetic scraps. It began as a collective dream experienced by the Star Chamber, dozens of powerful Delaque leaders feeling the will of the Psychoterica press down upon them. Like some sleeping giant trying to rise from the depths, the Servant took shape from this dream, much as the Stalkers are shaped by the psychic talents of a Whisperer into a tool for the clan. Unlike the Piscean and the Cephalopoid Stalkers, however, the Servant is no mere animal guided by the mental commands of its controller. Rather, not long after the shell was created to match the vision of the Star Chamber and a cultured cranial suit poured into its cortex, it became self-aware, guided by ancient memories, some echoing down across the eons from the Silent Ones, others fresher, coming from the Piscean heritage. The Servant has become an effective tool for the Star Chamber in its plans to awaken the original Necromundans. Held aloft by a bundle of mechanical tendrils, the Servant can stand taller than Ogren or flatten itself until it is only a few spans above the ground. The spherical jaws that make up its body and protect its brain are in constant motion, giving the appearance of some green cross between octopus and shark. Not that most Necromundans would know what either of these ancient Terran beasts actually look like. It can also move with surprising speed, using bundles of its tendrils to run along dome ceilings or dash up ladders. And the surface of the house, it can also be quite deadly. Its tendrils charge with electricity as its mouth able to emit a stunning wail. So now that we're going to talk about the lore of the Servant of the Silent Ones, let's talk about its rules real quick. So let's talk about the Servant of the Silent Ones. It is a house agent, so you will have to petition the house agent. And depending on how you roll, it costs anywhere between 100 to 200 credits to actually recruit this guy. Now, let's talk about his characteristics real quick. So it's 8-inch movement, so it's wicked fast, with 4+ weapon skill and ballistic skill, which is quite average. It is strength 4, which is quite good, as well as toughness 5, which is excellent. And it's also got 3 wounds as well. It's got 4+ for initiative and 5 attacks base. And when it charges directly into you, it actually has 6 attacks, which makes it even deadlier in close combat as well, which makes it extremely deadly that way. At the same time, it's also got 7 leadership, 4 cool, which is fantastic, 5 willpower, which is also great, as well as 7 intelligence as well. And when it comes to its skill, it does have the clamber skill, so that way it doesn't count to half distance travel when traveling up vertical distances, so this thing can slither up vertical distances like it's nobody's business. It's also got the infiltrate special rule, which is fantastic, so that way it can deploy anywhere on the battlefield to go over whatever target you want to go after. And it's also got the sprint skill, which means this guy can actually move up to 24 inches in a single movement in a single activation. So he is wicked fast traveling across the battlefield. He'd actually be really good to use in the Ash Waste because of that. He's actually, I think, just as fast actually, he might be faster than natural medium custom vehicles. So this guy is really, really quick. He'll go after your opponents. You can do a lot of good things as well. Now, when it comes to what additional special rules with this guy, you also have what's called the Psychoteric Echo Chamber, and it reads that once per round, a friendly Delaque fighter can use the servant to boost the effects of their psychic abilities. When a friendly Delaque fighter within 12 inches of the servant performs a weird power action, the servant may perform the same action. Work out the effects of both the weird power actions one after the other, starting with the active fighter. Note that whilst performing this action, the servant does not count as being active and does not lose its ready markers. So if you have a lot of weird psychers in your gang, you can actually use those same abilities as well, which could be all kinds of fun for you at the same time. At the same time, he's also a gang champion, as weird as it may sound. You can actually do large group activations, which means you can also activate one additional fighter for your gang too, which is really, really cool for this character as well. Now, let's talk about its weapons that it has real quick. It has the Subsonic Whale, which is a template weapon, so it's using a flamer template. It's only strength 2, but it has -3 AP, so if it does hit you, you're not going to be able to save it all too easily. It does cause 1 damage. It's also got the seismic weapon trait attached to it as well, so you can really mess up your enemies in terms of using initiative tests. It can also rock enemy vehicles, causing them to take handling tests, which is extremely useful as well. So this thing is quite deadly that way. And for its close combat attacks, it has Electro Tendrils, which has a versatile trait of 4 inches, so this guy can actually strike up to somebody, let's say 4, so that's 12 plus 3, maybe 15 inches away, so that's really deadly as well. It's also got the parry special rule attached to it, which makes the enemies who attack back have to reroll successful hit saves, and it's also got the shock trait, which is really great too, because if you get a 6, you automatically wound 2, so this guy is super deadly. He's also got a carapace armor, heavy carapace armor, so that way he gets bonuses from blast template weapons and a 4-up armor save. He also has a bioscanner, which makes him great as a sentry to find enemies in any kind of situation where you will require sentry rules, and at the same time he's also got a respirator, so it makes him even more survivable against gas and toxin attacks as well. So the Servant of the Silent Ones, I would say it's actually really good, especially if you want to fight out in places where there's a lot of open distances, like in the Ash Waste, for example. Now, he could cost anywhere between 120 credits based on your reputation, but at the same time though, it could actually really work out for you because the gamble is quite worth it, especially if you're taking out some larger group larger gangs, or if you're out in the open, or if you need something that's just really fast and just wants to chase down enemies that you want to have seen destroyed. Another cool thing you could actually do with this guy as well is you could also use him as an outcast gang leader, which is also extremely fun as well. There is no official miniature for this miniature, so because of that, there is no Forge World exclusive, so you can convert, 3D print, or proxy your own, and this guy could make an excellent gang leader at the same time. You can actually see this guy having like a little group of worshippers that worship the thing, and they go on missions together to destroy enemies. And that pretty much makes up the Servant of the Silent Ones. So there you guys have it. These are my analysis of the House Delaque Dramatis Personae from the Book of Shadow. These fighters are well worth the cost and credits for these guys. They don't cost them any points or to recruit these guys. Not to mention, 2 of these fighters don't have any Forge World exclusive miniatures, so they're very affordable for you to actually put in your gang, especially if you want to convert, 3D print, or proxy your own version of the miniature as well. Now, Yageloth does have a Forge World exclusive, but the miniature is quite cool looking, so I can understand the justification for the cost of having that miniature, especially if you want to use them as an outcast gang leader, which makes it even deadlier in my opinion. And like I said, these guys make excellent outcast gang leaders, and I always bring that up all the single time because these Dramatis Personae, you really don't really see them on the battlefield too much, but to make them outcast gang leaders would be a lot of fun to see on the tabletop as well. So that's good to you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blog.com for all these greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.